What it do, YouTube? It's your girl KayKay, and I'm back with another video. I'm about to show y'all how I make my wigs. I'm gonna start with a dome cap, and of course I'm gonna put that tag in the back, and I'm gonna bring that from the one at the way all the way at the top and bring it down to the 14 all the way down to the bottom. And I'm gonna just stick a pin up in there to hold that in place. Directly center. I'm gonna put that one, and then I think I measured the back at a 4. It's measured at a 5, but I just took a ½ inch away from each side, and that gave me a 4. And make sure that those lines are lined up all the way straight. And then doing the same thing at the top, I'm making sure that the front is direct dead center on the one and that the lines are lined up. So that pin is directly in the middle and the lines are straight. And then on the sides right here, I can't remember what it was, but I think I did take about a ½ inch away too. I think it was to a 16, but I wanted to do it to a 15. So I just took a ½ inch away on each side. But then again, I can't remember, and I think I did a 14, so I think I took an inch away from each side, and I measured it at the 15 and at the 1, and that took 2 inches away, so that gave me a 14 from ear to ear, basically. Going around the head. And I like to put my pins in at a curve so that they don't get stuck in the fabric. But all that extra fabric that's right there, let me get the angle right. Okay. All the extra fabric right there, we're going to pull that and bring it to the front because essentially we want to hem that. So we just kind of want to take that out. We don't want that. It's going to make our wig lumpy and bumpy. If we sew our tracks onto it like that and we try to fit it on a smaller head, it's going to make our wig bumpy. So we just going to take out all that excess space. And all I'm going to do is pull it up, fold it, and pull it forward. Pin it forward. And I'm going to do that all around the front until it's tight and snug enough. See how I'm trying to see? Okay, is it smooth? See that? I'm pinning all that. And again, I put my needles in at an angle. That's a pro tip. Put your needles in at an angle and they won't snag and get caught in the fabric. Pull it up forward. That's on period. We in there. Put all them pins together. Pull it forward. Put it in at an angle because T-pins have an opening, and if you put it in forward, then sometimes the fabric can go inside that opening, and then it's just a whole bunch of drama. You don't want to deal with it. So put them in at an angle. And then I'm going to take my needle and thread. Of course, I knotted it at the bottom, and I'm just going to sew that like I was sewing on anybody extensions for their weave or anything, or just sew it like you were sewing anything. Just sew it to get all of those loose ends tied together. Because essentially we are hemming this, so we do have to sew it so this stays locked in place. And be careful with this because I know it's difficult, but just take your time. I know it looks like it's like I'm going really, really fast. It's just sped up in the video. Here I tried to give y'all a better angle of what I'm doing. I'm just taking a little bit from the folded side and putting it in a little bit from the base, and I'm just sewing them together so that it lies flat. And my stitches are very close together. And I'm going to do that all along the front of the hair line. Put it in and loop it through. Put that needle in between that hole that I made so that it makes a little knot. I like to knot all of them so that they secure. I always sew like that, even when I'm sewing extensions on a weave or somebody. You'll see me double, triple knot that. I just always have to knot it. I always secure my knots. My dog hair just would not stay straight. But I'm going to do that around the whole entire hairline. I'm turning a different angle, but it don't matter. It's still the same technique. And do that all the way till I get to the end. And in this video, I'm just going to show y'all how I prep my custom wigs. Like everything that I do in order to make the custom wig custom, basically. Because there is a lot of prep work that I don't think that y'all really know about. That's behind the scenes. It's a lot that go down. From the type of cap that you use, from the size of the cap, from measurements, all of that. Everything. So just stay tuned. And when I get to the end of that, I'm just going to knot it. Secure it and knot it so it don't come loose before I sew my tracks on. Not that very much so. And I'm going to take them pins out to see if I did a good job. Because if I did a good job, then the wig won't move. But if I didn't do a good job, then I would see it pull back a little bit. But since it's staying in place, that means that I did an excellent job. Period. And now I'm just going to line my closure up. This is a 4x4 closure because I do specialize in closure wigs. So for the most part, I probably will only show you closure wigs unless I feel like doing a frontal. We're going to move that pin right there because it would make it lumpy and bumpy. We're going to secure the front two sides and then bring it all the way back into the middle or close to the middle as you can get it. Put that pin in at an angle. Take them corners and stretch them as far as possible, as flat as possible. You want to make sure it's flat because if it's not flat, it's going to be lumpy when you actually sew it on the sewing machine or however you sew it. This is the same technique you use if you was making a hand sewn wig or if you was using a sewing machine. You want to make sure that that closure is flat. And you see how that T-pin got stuck? That's why I put them in at an angle. Y'all thought I was playing. Thought I was bullshitting. No. There's a method to my madness, baby. Trust. And then I'm going to go in here with another needle and thread. And I'm going to just sew my closure together. When I do this first stitch, I like to sew through the band, all the way through the band, so that it stays like, I don't know, like secure. You know, I know a lot of people like to just sew on top of the band, but I want it to go through the band so it stays flat. It ain't no moving because it's just there, if that makes sense. I'm going to always sew through the band because when I'm on my sewing machine, I'm going to sew through the band anyway. And then it's just up from here. It's the same technique I used when I was sewing it, when I was hemming it. I am going to stitch them really, really close together because you want to make sure your closure is as flat as possible on a wig. The last thing you want is somebody's wig to be lumpy and bumpy because you didn't sew the closure down flat. Because trust me, what's going to happen? It will be lumpy. And it ain't really nothing to this when you take your time. All them little hairs that's getting stuck, that's nothing. You can pull them out with a rat tail comb. So don't even waste your time worrying about it, trying to get it to be perfect. You ain't got to be that meticulous when you just done doing this. This is just the first steps. And T-pins just can't let me be great, baby. Won't let me live. At all. sew through that and make that knot to secure that. And I always hand stitch mine before I sew it on the sewing machine. I just find that it's easier. It helps, it acts as a guideline for me so that I don't put my tracks too far up and then I don't have room for the closure. And it's harder for me trying to sew all my tracks and then put the closure, trying to line that up. That's just doing too much work for me. But it's whatever works for you. I find that when you do this, when you make wigs and you have a certain technique, it's whatever works for you. What worked for me might not work for you. My brain might not work like yours. So it's just something that you get used to yourself. You get into yourself. And I'm going to keep sewing that down all the way around. Please make sure you don't sew through the cap. Sew through the cap into the dang on canvas head, because that's like equivalent to like sewing through somebody's scalp. Like how kids be like, are you sewing it on her head? No, boo. You just sew it through the wig cap. Please be careful. Because I done that a few times and tried to take the wig off and I done got the whole stitch through the dang on canvas head. Like, what the heck? But yeah. You grow and you learn. I hope this is a better angle for y'all. But I'm just sewing and putting that thread through that loop and knotting it. Sorry for all the shaking. I swear my mannequin was like drunk or something because she just would not sit still. She was leaning, falling and shit. It's hard out here for a pimp. But yeah, I just knotted that like I did the first one. And then here I'm going to take my measuring tape. And I have it on the inches side. That's the bigger side. And I'm going to start from the closure all the way down to the nape, which is at the 10. I don't sew on the very bottom of the band because I do like to put my wig tags and my combs there. So I kind of just leave that space empty, you know. And I find that when you do sew onto that band right there, that's the hair that tends to get matted the most. So I like to leave that free. But I'm going to just mark it down at a 10. And for the most part, I probably always go to either a 10 or 11. I probably won't use more than 10 or 11. And I'm going to take a colored pencil and I'm going to just etch my lines out. I know some people use like metallic markers and shit, but at my Walmart, they just don't seem to have that. And I wasn't finna go nowhere else when I got a whole thing for the color pencils. And the white one works just fine for me. Pro tip though, if it's sharpened, it do write better. And I'm going to just go at every inch mark. So I'll start at the 10, I'm going to go to 9, I'm going to go to the 7, you know, and so on and so on. And I'm trying to make sure that them lines as straight as possible. They line up with the numbers. And I like to take mine all the way around, all the way up. Like some people will stop at the 3 and go halfway. No, I'm going to take that and go all the way to the front, all the way to the hairline. And I'm going to keep doing that. Then 2, I'm going to sew it right around there. And the lines, when you stitching on your bundles, the lines aren't going to be perfect. You're not going to follow these lines to a T, but they do act as a guideline. Because, for instance, when I made this wig, how I put that 1 right there, I didn't end up using that number 1 guideline. Because for some reason, my 2 lined up with my closure. Because I guess I was going a little bit higher on each row. Which is okay. It's just this acts as a guideline. So I make sure that I'm at least straight. So even if I'm above the line, I still know that I'm straight because I'm following that line. But here I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Making sure that they all line up in the same area. Like if 4 went all the way to the front on the left, it's going to go all the way to the front on the right. 3 went all the way to the front, it's going to go all the way to the front on the other side. 2, I had a little bit extra more space, but I know that 2 lined up with that closure, so I have to make it line up with that closure on the other side. I'm gonna remove my pins, and then I'm gonna just connect the line right here. And it's as simple as that. Them is your guidelines. Purdy, purdy, purdy. And I'm doubling my tracks. That's why I have such a big gap. If I was singling them, then I would do a 1/2 inch partings. But here, like I said, I have my wig tags, and I like to put that at the very bottom. So I try typically not to sew right there. And I'm going to use this on a straight stitch. Go forward, go back a little bit, and then that's it. Like that, like so. Cut off those excess strings. You have to cut off the excess strings because you don't want to give your wig to no client and she got all these strings showing. Because trust me, she gonna notice. Like that, like so. It ain't got to be perfect. Oh, and here's another pro tip. Before I double my tracks, I like to flat iron them because you know how they come folded or they come rolled up in the bundle with the wrap on it. It's hard to double them like that, so I just flat iron them. And then also sometimes if your tracks are hard, like I don't know what the vendor be doing, how they be storing them, if they put weft sealing or whatever they put on there, but they be hard. When you flat iron it, it makes it soft. And doubling my tracks, I'm gonna just have them side by side. Have my fingers are actually lined up, pressing together, like pressing the wefts together, and I let the machine drag it. I don't push it. The machine is gonna pull it because there's little grooves under there that pulls it. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. That's just the beginning processes of how I prep to start making my custom made wigs. If y'all like the video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You feel me? And yeah, y'all enjoy the rest of the video. Peace.